I've gotten to a deeper level of focus lately, a state which sometimes feels elusive, but when you're there mentally, you feel unstoppable. To try and describe it in words, it's an ability to tune out all distractions, physically, but most importantly, mentally and emotionally. And that's the real kicker here, because we cannot lie to ourselves, no matter how hard we try. So on the surface, and to others, you may appear calm, unwavering, and in control, but emotionally and internally, you can be a nervous wreck, or you can feel an intense anger but show nothing at all. Recognizing this behavior and either telling yourself to calm down and reject those intrusive thoughts, or distract yourself by what's happening in the game and not giving yourself really the time to feel that anger and act on it, has made a world of a difference for me. And I don't really have anything tangible to show you for that yet, so you'll just have to take my word for it for now. But I'm sure in the coming videos we might both notice a significant change in my performance, because I already feel it. The problem is that the mental state of intense, deep focus that I feel takes a lot of concentration to get into. So that's kind of been part of what I've been working on, as being able to flip the conscious switch of, okay, we're thinking again, from the alternative, which is just autopilot garbage, basically. Being able to mentally tell yourself that I'm going to think about this situation has made a big difference. You really have to make a conscious effort to catch yourself when you feel the autopilot kicking on. And if you're anything like I was, where you're like constantly trying to find what to think about so you don't slip into that autopilot, and you're just sitting around in neutral, not really knowing what to think or look for, just keep it simple. What is his options from this range? And what are my options from this range? Just those two things will take you so far. It'll reduce your mental stack significantly, and eventually you'll pick up on their habits from certain ranges, and that will reduce the stack even further. And it'll turn into, okay, well, I think he's going to jump at this range, so I'll look for that, because you've drawn a conclusion based on the pattern that you recognize. And now we're getting to that point of, okay, we're thinking. Now remember, not every read or conclusion you come to will always be correct, but you can't become discouraged when you make a bad read and you get punished for it. That's kind of where the anger and the nervousness lies, and where the anxiety is brewed, in that dark place where you start to think things like, man, I can't get a read on this guy. And then you fall into whatever autopilot offense you know, while you're wasting time thinking about how hopeless your situation is at this very moment. It's about using your mental space effectively and cutting out the excess fat and the thoughts that roam around in that head of yours. I guess that's the best way to describe this intense focus I've been able to slip into. It's also important to recognize when you aren't feeling this focus, and when you feel like you can't focus, because that's usually your emotions and your brain trying to tell you something. And generally that answer is to just take a break. It doesn't have to be days or weeks or months, but just a quick breather can really help you recognize what it is you're trying to do here and reset your mind. It goes a long way. For me, this kind of happens when I'm playing a certain character and I lose to an option that on another character I maybe knew the punish for, or I would have had the health to survive. And I start spiraling into a series of, well, should I switch? Is this really the right character for me, etc. You've heard that song and dance on this channel time and time again. But the real answer is, you've made a decision at this point in time, so stick to it. And that's what I tell myself mid-game, and why I take a little break after the set or in between games. Because in reality, it doesn't matter who I'm playing. There's probably a deeper fundamental reason why I lost, and I chose to cope with it by blaming it on my character selection. I do it in League of Legends, and I do it in Street Fighter. It's a character flaw of mine, I guess. But character flaws aren't set in stone. They can be overcome, and you can fix them. And that's what I've learned recently. That's what I've learned through playing Street Fighter, is I have a lot of deep-seated issues with how I perceive myself, how I perceive others, and mostly how confident I feel in myself and my abilities. But time after time, I'm able to overcome some of those hurdles that I've had for so long through this silly little video game of mine. And I think that's something really cool. But this is basically all the changes I had to make to really hit that stride tonight. I hope that I can wake up tomorrow and feel this way again, and to continue to play this well and reach that level of focus every single time I hop into the game. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of reprimanding myself mentally to remember, hey, don't get angry, and to understand why I'm losing and calm myself down. But in the end, it's going to make me a better player, and I'm willing to put in that work in order to get there. I guess this is all part of the journey that I claim to be documenting when I make these videos. It's become more of a mental battle than a physical one, but I think we're going to be all right. I think we're going to be all right. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you again very soon.